Good morning, Nebraska. This is the Nebraska News Radio Show, coming to you straight from the heart of the Cornhusker State, where we talk plain about the issues hitting home for farmers working the land, families holding on to our small town ways, and everyday folks who expect leaders to put local folks first without all the fancy talk or outside meddling. Let us start with what is happening right in Omaha, where a whole setup of shelters, charities, and groups has turned the city into a big machine for pulling in immigrants and refugees from everywhere. These outfits, backed by federal money and working with churches and nonprofits, provide quick housing, jobs in meatpacking plants, and schooling for kids who do not speak English, all on the taxpayer dime. It is not just helping folks out, it is changing our neighborhoods fast, stretching schools and services thin while big companies pocket the profits from cheap labor. Longtime residents are left wondering why our own communities have to foot the bill for this endless flow that feels like it is reshaping everything without a say from the people who built this place. That kind of change ties right into the waves of folks coming from South Asia and the Middle East, settling into our towns and bringing customs that clash with the way things have always been here. From family chains pulling more relatives over to work visas filling jobs in tech and factories, our Heartland is seeing more languages in the classrooms and different ways in the streets. Some call it progress, but many see it as eroding the values we hold dear, with enclaves forming that do not mix in, leaving folks feeling like strangers in their own backyards. And with all the talk of tightening borders, the real question is how many can truly be sent back when so many are dug in deep with protections that make it near impossible. Over at the Department of Motor Vehicles, the rules let folks take driving tests in all sorts of foreign languages, handing out licenses to people who might not read our English road signs. Sure, there is a rule saying they need someone who reads English riding along, but who is checking that out on our highways? It puts everyone at risk, especially on those long rural stretches where help is far off, and it bends over backward for newcomers while everyday Nebraskans play by the same old rules. Why not make English the standard for safety's sake instead of opening doors wide? Speaking of opening doors, look at how Chinese companies are sinking roots into our farmland through buys, leases, and deals with big agriculture outfits. It might not be a lot of direct land, but the influence runs deep into seeds and pork production, right near military spots that raise real security flags. And our own leaders, with their business ties, seem more interested in trade dollars than guarding what is ours, putting profit ahead of keeping outsiders from controlling the food we grow. We cannot forget the past messes, like when a former governor let that big meatpacking plant set up in Lexington, flooding the town with cheap labor from abroad. What started as jobs turned into a surge of folks that spiked crime, packed schools with kids not speaking English, and drove out the families who had been there for generations. It is a warning about how one bad call from the top can turn a solid community upside down for corporate gains. In Lincoln, the mayor's background leaves a lot of questions hanging, from family roots nobody can pin down to policies pushing housing and green plans that sound good but hit taxpayers hard. Her pushes for more immigrant programs and safety changes feel like they favor outsiders over the folks paying the bills, with gaps in what we know making it hard to trust the full picture. And holding our elites to account is long overdue, especially when they sign deals to bring in hundreds of truck drivers from far-off places like Kenya, claiming shortages while ignoring the risks of crime and wrecks from folks with no ties here. These packs, cooked up on taxpayer trips, let in people who end up in trafficking rings or worse, and the big shots hide behind legal shields while our families pay the price. It is time to strip that protection and make them answer for the harm they invite. Our courts here in Nebraska, from the top Supreme Court down to county levels, are supposed to keep things fair with their merit picks and public votes to keep or boot judges. But with all the boards and commissions pulling strings, it makes you wonder if everyday voices really cut through the insider games, especially when big cases touch on these very issues tearing at our state. At the university in Omaha, the chancellor with her foreign-born roots is under the lens for scholarships that hand out money to non-citizens first, leaving local kids out in the cold. If she is not even a full citizen herself, how does that square with running a public school funded by our dollars? It smells like a setup that puts outsiders ahead, and folks are demanding answers on where the money really goes. Finally, on the field, our Huskers wrapped another season in the dumps, with coaching blunders wasting top talent and chasing players off to other teams. From backwards plays to a culture that does not fit our hardworking ways, it is a mess from the sidelines to the top brass, leaving fans fed up with the excuses and big contracts that do not deliver. That is the straight story this morning in Nebraska. We have got outside forces grabbing land, flooding towns, and calling the shots while our leaders look the other way. It is on us to push back, speak out, and demand real change that puts our families and values first. Stay vigilant, get involved in your communities, and tune in tomorrow for more unfiltered truth. This is the Nebraska News Radio Show, signing off until next time. Have a steadfast day out there.